Poised for Exit is the weekly show for business owners and advisors who want smarter strategies, stronger companies, and better exit outcomes. I'm your host, Julie Keys, award-winning certified exit planner, speaker, and lifelong entrepreneur, helping private company owners build value, plan well, and exit on their own terms. Every exit has real stakes. That's why Poised for Exit brings in top experts to share practical insights that help owners grow value, reduce risk, and create stronger outcomes. Now, let's jump in. Welcome, everybody, to the Poised for Exit podcast show. Today's guest is a longtime SEPA and a financial advisor who sold his practice to a large competitor a few years ago. We're going to hear his story about how he obtained this amazing exit and is still engaged in the industry right after these messages.
This is Andy Kosamba, president of Calhoun Companies. We understand that selling your business is a big deal. Since 1908, Calhoun Companies has been confidently connecting buyers and sellers. From small family shops to large corporations, our expert brokers walk with you and guide you every step of the way, whether you're looking to retire or simply for a fresh start. If you're curious what your business could sell for, or if you're ready to start the process, head to calhouncompanies.com for a free and confidential consultation. Calhoun Companies, the confident choice for buyers and sellers.
My name is Todd Crow, and I'm the president of the Twin Cities Exit Planning Chapter. If you're a business owner and advisor and want to learn more about the world of exit planning, you're invited to visit the Twin Cities chapter of the Exit Planning Institute. You can expect top-level education delivered by subject matter experts at every monthly meeting. Grow your network and draw from the learning that could be a game changer for your business or your practice. There's no pressure to become a member, so come and see what the buzz is all about. Our meetings are held the second Wednesday of the month, 7:30 to 9 a.m. See the show notes for more information and registration links.
Exiting your business is a big deal, both financially and emotionally. I'm John Marquet, Certified Exit Planning Advisor with TrustPoint. We help business owners transition smoothly on their terms. Our focus is on maximizing value, minimizing stress, and giving you confidence in what's next. Whether you're selling or passing the torch, we make the process seamless. Start planning today at trustpointinc.com. That's trustpointinc.com.
Most business owners wait too long to plan their exit, and it can cost them. By the time they're ready, tax-saving opportunities may be long gone. The CPAs at John A. Knutson & Company help you plan early so you can maximize value, minimize taxes, and exit on your terms. With over 100 years of guiding ownership transitions, including buy-sell, succession, and ESOPs, we know the best outcomes transpire from planning ahead. If exiting your business is a future possibility, start now. Visit jakcpa.com. That's jakcpa.com.
Hello, Poised for Exit listeners. We're here with Matt Kulp, and Matt and I think, went through the SEPA program together. Anyway, Matt is a senior vice president of wealth management at Hub Retirement and Wealth. Matt, I'm so excited that you're on the show. Welcome to Poised for Exit.
Thank you, Julie. First off, thank you for having me, and congratulations on over 300 episodes. That is quite impressive. And if I recall, so 2015, I believe we were, well, I not believe, I know that we were in the same SEPA class. I think there was about 40 of us, and it's pretty awesome to, fast forward a little over 10 years ago and to see where our class is at right now. So it's grateful to be on here today with you. Thank you.
Yeah, me too. And Jan Graybill too, right? He's still your partner?
Yes. Jan is founder of our firm. Yes.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I remember seeing you guys at the summit in Nashville recently, the EPI summit, and that was where I ran into him. And he said, "Hey, how about we get Matt on the show?" I'm like, "Great idea. Let's do it." I want to hear all about, what happened with the acquisition and Hub International and all those things. So let's back up for a second, since we've been talking about, when we got certified as SEPAs in 2015. I imagine things have changed a little bit for your practice since then.
Yes.
So maybe you could bring us back to the beginning and how did you get to where you are now? And you could kind of, roll that conversation into it as well. Like, how have things changed?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I think it's a very strong testament to the Exit Planning Institute. Is prior to that 2015 week-long course that we all went through, we were working with business owners, but it was, I don't want to say happenstance, but we didn't have a great process on how we were helping business owners get from point A to point B in transitioning their business. We had the tools, we had strategies, but we didn't have a great clear process on how we did that. And that's where that week with the Exit Planning Institute and yourself really turned everything upside down for us in a really positive way. Created positive disruption. I like to say we came out of that week with a mountaintop experience where we're like so excited and pumped up, and then we're like, Monday comes along, and like, where did we start?
I know.
How do we get this going?
Yeah.
Right? Which I will say EPI did. I remember at the end of that week that we spent time doing that. And, thankfully we had a plane ride home and we started writing notes and we started off doing what we call business owner readiness workshops where we were just inviting the masses. We just thought, let's just go do it. And
Yeah. That's fantastic. Like you just dove right in.
We dove right in, and I'll also say too, we the way in which we got to the Exit Planning Institute was through a very dear friend and center of influence, Tom Garrity. Tom is the founder of Compass Point Consulting in the Lehigh Valley in Pennsylvania. And he was like, I think at that time, like one of two like SEPAs in Pennsylvania, right? And Tom had highly recommended them, and that's how we got there. But then we came back off that mountaintop experience and we started working with Tom and like, hey, how can we take what we know and what we've learned? How can we take this to the Lehigh Valley? And that's where the business owner readiness workshops came in, where he was on the business consulting side and helping with the business, and we're doing more of the personal financial readiness. So it was a nice combination on how we were going to help business owners in that journey. And we had successful business owner readiness workshops. We were getting an average of like 30 owners, but I'll be honest with you, it wasn't necessarily like we weren't gaining traction with the owners that we were seeking, which is really that 5 million in revenue to 100 million in revenue. We were running the businesses that were more on the end of like they were struggling just to stay solvent, and we eventually changed those business owner readiness workshops to more finite workshops, and we advanced our marketing. And fast forward to today, we developed a 4-step process that is a starting point for business owners to get the ball moving to a future transition, ideally 3 to 5 years in advance.
Of course, right. And that sometimes is the biggest struggle, right? For any of us, regardless. Well, we're talking about it in the exit planning space, but I mean, when you think about any major initiative, right? Some of us have to overthink and aren't exactly sure how to get started. So it's good that you're providing some help with them to actually take that first step, because that's the toughest one.
And, I just expand off that briefly is, I think about it like today, if I'm trying to solve a problem, like might be something I'm working on at home, I'm going to be honest with you. I kind of cheat now today, and I hop on Claude. I'm like, Claude, what should I do here? But the key is that like I'm thinking about it, but it's taking the step from the thought to the application of how do I actually start to get that momentum. Now, in that case, I'm using Claude. And in this case with business owner readiness, like, yeah, go ahead and use Claude or ChatGPT. Hopefully it'll mention our names on there. But I believe strongly that taking the thought and then moving it to a conversation with someone like yourself that has this experience is like, that's where now we can actually start to gain traction and be able to establish a vision for where and when we can get to that future point in time.
Yes, I think you can tap into things like that for additional information. But when it comes to like human empathy and being able to judge and, sharing wisdom and experience and the things that you've lived through that you just know because of what's, being said, that's not duplicatable, and it keeps the human in the loop. But yeah, I love the efficiency side of all of that. I'm so glad to hear that you're using it. I use it all the time myself, and I help my clients use it as well. So let's talk about Hub, though. We were talking about it a little bit before the show, and I learned some things. And I have a feeling that our listeners will be too when you share some of the things about Hub and then why you guys decided that this was the candidate when they approached you to acquire you.
Yeah, thank you. So I would say first is that this was our decision with the acquisition of Hub of our firm was not a decision made overnight.
I'm sure not.
That's first and foremost. I think the second piece is to understand is that so you mentioned Jan, our founder of Legacy Planning Partners. There are 6 partners as a part of Legacy Planning that made that decision when we were acquired to move that forward.
Hmm.
But realistically and transparently, that was done over a 5-year period of time.
Sure.
So 5-year period of time. And I remember still sitting in our quarterly board meeting, which is super important, quarterly board meetings, because that's connecting partners on working on the business versus working in the business.
Good for you.
But over 5 years, we met as a board, and this was a topic of our conversation. And it started out as far as setting a vision. For us, it was 5 years. And we sat down and were true with one another of what do we want to look like in 2025. We had 2 partners that were at that time they were in their late 50s, approaching their 60s, and like succession's an important part of that. People inside your firm, intuitively they're going to be asking themselves, I wonder what Jan's plan, I wonder what Rob's plan is. Like, what's the next chapter for our business?
Got to talk about it.
It's the work we do, and the last thing we want to be is plumbers with leaky pipes.
I know, right? And here you are talking about it yourselves. I love it.
Yeah, so we practice what we preach. I believe we practice what we preach.
Yeah.
But that 2020 time frame was important for us because we started to set the course on what we wanted to look like in 5 years as far as what our people, what our specialized disciplines were going to be, like business owner advisory services on how we're going to help business owners successfully transition from their business, what we wanted our revenue to look like, what we wanted our profitability to look like. We installed a stock appreciation rights into place for our key people. We did a lot of these things not knowing who the buyer was going to be at that time, but we wanted to make sure that we were building the best business to continue growth for future generations, to continue the legacy. No pun intended. Our firm was called Legacy Planning Partners.
You followed it.
But also over that 5-year period, as we started to go through our exit options, we talked extensively about an internal sale, a shareholder sale to shareholders internally. We spent about 1.5 years on that. And the best way I can say it is that we all mutually agreed in a very positive way that that wasn't the direction that we wanted to go. We didn't believe that that was the most positive direction for future generations of our firm, of how we were going to compete and how we were going to continue to grow and provide them the opportunity to have the same successes, greater successes than we had. We looked at an ESOP and it just didn't feel right.
Sure.
We explored a sale to a strategic buyer, and then we explored the sale to a synergistic buyer, which was Hub International.
So you really did not only lay the groundwork, but you really did some good due diligence type work, which of course set you all up for a great next act because you're already in it, right? You're still engaged. But also, of course, as you know, this positions you in a way that is different from your competition in a lot of ways because you actually can relate to what your clients are going through, and you can give like real life advice. So you move it out of theory and into practice, right? Yeah.
Oh, 100%. And
that's the magic of it. I love, I remember talking to Jan at the last 2 summits, maybe even the last 3 summits before this year, but like prior to, because we see each other every year at the summit. And he was sharing with me that you guys were in this process and how excited he was about it. And I was just like so impressed. Like I couldn't even believe it was coming out of his mouth because this isn't normal, for people in your space. But boy, what a great example that you can be for other people in the industry.
Thank you.
Right?
And I do want to mention one thing, and coming back to the working on your business.
Yeah.
Super important that it is, especially when you have partners. It's the amount of partnerships that break apart, I think it's at least like 50% or so. It's a pretty high number.
Very high, yeah.
And, I think the advantage and opportunity for us as a partner group was that we had all the crucial, tough conversations way in advance of selling the business. And I got to tell you, Julie, like we were all on the same page when we came down and as a partner group, like we narrowed it down to 3 potential acquirers. It was a unanimous decision. We all chose the same company, and that was Hub International. We were on the same page because we had been working on it for the last 5 years.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like we were speaking the same language. We were so in tune about what was happening in our business, why it was happening, where we were going, what our goals and dreams were. Like that can't happen just overnight within a 1 year period of time. And that's, I just want to say is I find that there's too many business owners that wait too long to start this work.
Yes.
They, like we were talking about earlier, they have the thought, maybe before they go to bed at night, or they're reading and like, wow, one day I'm gonna not be in this business any longer. Well, I wonder what that's gonna look like. But then it stops.
Right.
They don't decide to go have that conversation.
Yes.
And I want to credit my partners for wanting to have those conversations and challenging one another to push forward, to say, hey, this is coming down the pike. 100% of business owners are going to transition. The question is whether it's on your terms or not. And we embrace that question.
So, yeah. So you drank the Kool-Aid, you shared the Kool-Aid, right? You preach and
Yeah.
advise on the Kool-Aid. I love it. It's like a circle of love. No, I mean, seriously, it really is. And having those tough conversations, like you said, I've had so many clients that have been partners, had partners over the years. And, I've had partners myself. And that, in my mind, many times can be more difficult than marriage.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
right. And so what you're telling me and what you've said means to me that you guys chose to become partners for the right reasons out of the gate.
Yeah. I mean, I think values.
Mindset, right? Values, philosophy, all those things, those were all in your favor so that you could get to this point without contention.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Julie, because that's another exercise we went through in 2020 that sometimes people think is like, the soft stuff is mission, vision, and values. That was one of those core exercises we did in 2020 that really set our sails. Because when we came back to it, whether someone was a right fit in our organization or whether we were making the right decision for the organization, all came back to our mission, vision, and values, and we held one another accountable to that.
Mm. Fantastic. So let's flip the script a little bit here on this conversation and share with us, were there any surprises, any lessons that you learned through this process that you weren't expecting that maybe if you had it to do over again, you would have done a little bit differently?
Yeah, so the first I would say is, and then I mentioned it earlier, is like when you have a partner group, like you got to be on the same page. Like when you're going to sell to an outside buyer, especially a buyer that is a sophisticated buyer, which frankly, the marketplace of buyers is becoming more as sophisticated by the day.
Yes.
So if you come in and you're tentative and like you're kind of loosey-goosey, like it's not going to be a good outcome. I would just say that because Hub brought their team. They're serious and we were ready for it. The whole partner side of things, of us just working through that over a 5 year period of time. And then I would say the one thing that I don't say it was a surprise, but I was like, wow, like this is unbelievable, was there was a point in our due diligence process where there was a quality of earnings, a Q of E.
Sure.
Right? We hear about these Q of E, and that's really testing, are your numbers true? Like what you're showing us for revenue, what you're showing us for expenses and EBITDA, like how really true is it? How believable is it? So Hub brought in an outside firm. Like it wasn't Hub's people, like it was a accounting firm that was their specialty, was Q of E.
Sure.
So there's no hiding. Like you're showing everything. Now, I'm very grateful, I mentioned, for my partners, but I was also very grateful for our management team, our finance team.
Sure.
Did a phenomenal job in that Q of E. That day we walked in, Julie, there's 30 people in a room. 30 people in a room. I was like, whoa. And then we had, I think, another 10 or so, like virtually coming in. Like it was the real deal. Like there was nowhere to hide. Like if there was going to be some rock that didn't get turned over, it was going to get turned over that day.
Mm-hmm.
And that was that moment that I was like, wow, very grateful for our people and the job they were doing because they executed and they delivered. Had they not been ready, had they not been able to deliver, that meeting probably would have went down a whole different direction
Right.
as far as due diligence and going back to the table, renegotiating, all those kinds of things where they say, we found this, this, and this. And now the negotiation price goes the other way. That did not happen for us. In fact, our revenue increased over the time frame when due diligence that we went back and were able to renegotiate our
Oh,
purchase price.
good for
So
you.
it worked out really well for us. So
Fantastic. And how is there, I'm assuming that you guys have got agreements on how long you're going to stay with the firm, or is it indefinite? Like, how did that roll out?
yeah, so we are, I mean, essentially we're in a three, the deal structure was there was money up front, and then we have a
Hmm.
3-year earnout.
Hmm.
We incentivized our entire firm with that earnout potential.
Hmm.
Um, but essentially, there's no necessarily contract that we have to stay on for any period of time. What I love about our new arrangement with Hub is that we're able to continue to practice. So
Yes.
Hub has brought us resources on the side of marketing, technology, the financial side of things, so that our management team, they're growing in their roles. They have a whole new ceiling of opportunity that they didn't have before.
Sure.
We as practitioners can spend more time being a practitioner versus necessarily a business owner because now we're executing inside that strategy. And Hubs, they're one of their number one initiatives for business development is cross-selling across their industries. In their commercial insurance, they have 2 million
Smart.
business owner clients that every business owner is going to transition one day. It's whether or not it's on their terms or not. And we
Yes.
have an opportunity to be a part of that. And Hub has welcomed our specialty practice and business owner advisory services into the Hub network. So now we're spending more time on business development, building relationships with Hub producers that have business owners that are talking about this and are asking,
Yeah.
where do I go for this help?
And I love that you talked about cross-selling and that that's an initiative because in all of my travels in exit planning and all the firms I've worked with, aside from business owners, I see on a regular basis missed opportunities to cross-sell, right? And
Yeah.
it isn't just about the revenue that we can collect out of cross-selling products and services. It's about missing opportunities to help our clients, right? To have them, gain better traction, have a better outcome. If we're missing things, then we're remiss, right? And so I love that that is part of your workflow practice because that, again, there's always in an exit planning opportunities to expand products and services with business owners because they need them, right?
Agreed. In the past, there may have been an issue or a challenge that a business owner was working through that we may not have had the resources for. We know that, employee benefits is a big challenge for many businesses today. And the opportunities and options that Hub is able to deliver is just, it's not nothing that we had access to before. So now we can at least be able to help solve a problem. Not that we're the experts on it, but we can bring in the experts to help with that, which is, it's just another way to be able to help our clients.
Right. It's very holistic. That's fantastic. I haven't asked you yet, but I would like to have you share maybe a client story or illustration that kind of illustrates how things are now and what you've been able to do to help them.
Yeah, so our ideal situation is where we're coming in and helping a business owner 3 to 5 years in advance of this planning. And that the client story that I absolutely love is this is actually a client that we did this work over 18 years,
Wow.
right? So he was pre-exit planning, or he was pre-SEPA and post-SEPA.
Sure.
But this is a business owner that had recently, this was back in the early 2000s, came into the family business. He would have been second generation. He was at the very beginning of being a part of that business, and his dad prematurely passed away.
Mm.
And at that time, the estate tax was really low. So, you could say, oh, yeah, he inherited the business. Well, he actually paid estate tax. That's how we were brought into the conversation, because of he inherited this and there was an estate tax. And that's where we became involved. But this business owner, I give him so much credit. He fought through that, paying the estate tax, keeping the doors open in the business, which was not an easy task. He stepped into the owner and president shoes all at the same time. Bought out a sibling that had inherited a piece of the business when the father had passed away. And basically, over a 20-year period of time, built this business to the point where one of his goals was that this business would run without him. And that's exactly what he did. He built a highly profitable business that was able to run without him. And through the planning that we did with his personal financial blueprint, we continued to show him how he was tracking on, we knew exactly what his lifestyle was. And he was very transparent on what his goals and dreams were and what his lifestyle was, the things that he wanted to do. And we continued to show him how he was trending in his personal financials. But we also, every year to every other year, was having his business valued. So what we did is we tied together what that business valuation was. And that was done by an investment banking firm. So they were taking market data, real market data, and comparing his business to the benchmark and showing him you're either above the benchmark or you're below the benchmark or you're right at the benchmark. So he knew exactly what his business looked like. But then we took that value and net after proceeds value, which is the other thing the investment banker did, is to show, hey, Mr. Business Owner, if you were to sell today, not that you are, here's what it looks like from a tax perspective. We were plugging those numbers in along the way over that 18-year period of time. Really, it's probably 10 years to show him. And at one point, I remember a conversation with him, and he had built significant value. And it was just, the question was like, as far as exiting, like, what do you want to grow this to? At what point do you want to exit? Like, he had grown the business value to where he wasn't going to spend what that was worth. And was it worth continuing to take the risk in your business to keep growing it? It wasn't that we were insinuating that he should sell. We were just challenging him on his thoughts, as far as helping him understand that he had built financial independence, and the net proceeds from his business would provide for generations. Not just his life, generations. And he took care of his people along the way. This is, I think, one of the most important points is his people were running the business because they were incentivized and they did really well running the business. And he treated them really well as people, right? So culture was fantastic. And he decided to sell. He ended up selling to a private equity buyer. The key people in that business, you got a great package. I mean, no, I shouldn't say package, because they continue to run the business. They got a great opportunity from the proceeds of the business that he shared with them. They also got ownership in the business. And he still sits on the board of that with that private equity owner today over top of that business. So he's meeting on a quarterly basis, but we love meeting with him. He is like so stress-free. I mean, no one's ever free of stress, but he is just like enjoying life. And the one thing I didn't mention is he actually closed during, it was July of 2020. You may have remember there was a significant event that happened in 2020.
That's right.
And I often say to him, I just say, one day you need to write a book about this, because I remember when he had taken the business to market with the investment banker who had helped him with understanding what his business value was over the many years. And they went to market prior to COVID. But his numbers were so good that they continued to move forward with that buyer and ended up closing it during that very volatile period of time. That's how attractive his business was.
Wow. He did all the right things, it sounds like.
He
Yeah.
really did.
Yeah.
And I also want to make mention too is that I believe one of the recipes of that successful story is that he's a very humble person
Mm.
and that he thought of others before himself.
Mm.
That might sound kind of silly. Someone listening right now might be like, well, he sold the business. How can he be thinking about others before himself? He actually gave those people another upward opportunity in their professional careers for what they're doing professionally, but then also too from an earnings capacity perspective.
Mm.
So he allowed them to take that business to the next level. And I know that he's their biggest cheerleader.
Wow. Yeah. Do you have a testimonial from him on your website?
Yeah, well, we got to talk to compliance about that one.
Yeah, you're right. You actually, he should write a story about that, write a book about that. Or you guys could write a book about specific clients like that. I think that those stories are really great ways. I mean, that's why I always ask my guests on every single show, please share a good illustration of what you're talking about. And if I have a business owner, well, you are a business owner, but if I have someone in a different industry who's an owner who's sold, I like to have them share anecdotes as well. Because I think that we learn from those stories and we remember them, right? Versus a bunch of stats and technical prowess. But anyway.
And one thing I just like to say real quick, I'd like to
Yeah.
encourage our audiences. So for the business owner that's thinking about this right now, that next step, we said once you start to think about it, the next steps have a conversation with someone who does this. I'd also add to that too, start to journal. So I personally am a future thinker, visionary, and my challenge is reflecting on the past. And in 2021, I was challenged with starting to journal. And right now, I just started book 5 about a month ago of my journaling. And we talk back about those stories. And I believe journaling is such a powerful way of reflection that can be for the business owner, but also too, I believe, is a tribute for the family to be able to see what that generation went through as they prepared for that exit.
Mm-hmm.
And I also believe when we look at and we say 75% of business owners who sold their business after 12 months regretted it, 75%, so 3 out of every 4 business owners, that's a super high number.
It is, and it's still valid.
And what we found is, when it comes to that regret, we found it's not a money problem. We found it's a mindset. It's a mindset issue of not giving oneself enough time to really download and digest what that next chapter is going to look like. The day after you sell your business, whether it's to family or non-family, what's it going to look like? What's it going to look like? What are you going to do? What time are you going to get up? What's the first thing you're going to do in the morning? Do you have an agenda? Do you have a schedule? Like, what are the things that you're going to be doing? The mind is so powerful. And, oftentimes we have owners that say, oh, I'm just going to, and not to sound specific on this, but I'm just going to golf every day. I'm like, you're not going to golf every day. You maybe 3 days a week you'll golf, but you drive value. You influence people. You help people get to their next level. Like that doesn't go away when you sell your business.
Yeah.
You're going to still want to do that.
Yes.
And exploring mentorship, with younger business owners who are seeking wisdom, getting on a board, getting in a nonprofit, like starting to do those things like before your transition, like go do it. Start to do those things now. Don't wait. Don't wait until you transition, go do those things.
Right. I agree 100%. And that whole relevancy thing is important. Like if you've been a successful trailblazing entrepreneur most of your adult life, you don't just turn that off like a faucet. Your creativity, your ideas, the things that motivate you are still going to be there after. And I remember years ago, well, we've been doing an owners forum here in the Twin Cities every year, but there was one year when we had a panel, and I know I've shared this story on the show before, but for those who haven't heard it, I'm going to share it again. Mm-hmm. Panel of business owners all telling their story of exit. And there was one guy who said, I'm just going to tell you all right now that if you don't have a reason to wake up in the morning, you are going to fail your exit. He said, because the day after I sold my business, I woke up with no alarm and realized I had nothing to do. Mm-hmm. And he said, that scared me. So anyway, It's true, right? And so, yeah, for us as exit planners to help our clients think about that, like I think it should be the most exciting time of their life.
It's a new chapter ready to be written.
Absolutely. All that wisdom, all that knowledge, yeah, it can be used for other things. So anyway, Matt, loved having you on the show. So fun. So happy for all that you are doing, you and Jan and your team, and working for Hub and the services you can provide to your clients still. It's just a great, really great business owner story. It's a great SEPA story. So congratulations to you. And again, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Julie. Greatly appreciate the opportunity. Iron sharpens iron as one person sharpens another. So thank you for sharpening me today.
Absolutely. It's been great. And thank you to our listeners so much. I hope that you enjoy this new version of Poised for Exit with our video options that we're adding on here on a few of the channels. And join us again next time. You know it's going to be a good one. Bye now.